you can't really reduce the South African public to one group. We've got so many different literacy levels, so many different communities, some living very closely to nature, some living in squalor, some people living in, have grown up in urban environments, and I think each community is going to have a different perception of nature. We do have some of the most advanced environmental conservation laws in the world, so I think that does put us a step ahead. And I think many of the rural communities are very in tune with the natural environment. But I think it's your more sort of urbanized, modernized communities that are less in touch. They may be at a theoretical level and may enjoy the whole armchair travel aspect, but I think many are not really that in tune. So I thought the only way to do what I really wanted to do would be to freelance. And just as luck would have it, I stumbled upon an opportunity literally 2 weeks after I resigned to go down to Marion Island, following a team of climate change scientists. And it was following them and just learning about their work on Marion and seeing how climate change is impacting on Marion that I just got an inkling. I wrote a whole lot of essays about Marion and how climate change is impacting there, but I just had an inkling that there was more to it than that. And as soon as I got back to the mainland, I started doing a bit of research, speaking to scientists, and I just stumbled upon one case study after another that would, just illustrate climate change in South Africa and the South African context. So I just started putting one essay together after another, and before I knew it, there was a manuscript. Okay. Well, I live in Cape Town now, even though I grew up in the Eastern Cape, and every now and then I'll be walking through a shopping mall like Cavendish, and I just see all these youngsters, dolled up in their little outfits with the kitty heels and the lipstick, and they've hardly even developed breasts yet, they're just so young, and they're dressing like adults and behaving like adults, and the leisure time is spent in shopping malls where the worldview is shaped by materialism and spending money, and I just think it's so different to the youth I had, where I was running around barefoot in the mountains, and I just think that is going to shape the value system of a whole generation of kids, if they're growing up in shopping malls instead of on mountains and under trees. And so it worries me a little bit, I think that growing materialism is partly what is the problem with our planet at the moment. Well, look, I think our government, environmentally speaking, is fairly progressive. I think the challenges that we have environmentally are huge. But, when Nicholas Stern was out here a couple of months back, after the release of his big report on the economics of climate change, he said that our cabinet was grappling with these issues in a way which shows that we are quite progressive. And the Western Cape government recently commissioned what is called the Western Cape Climate Change Response Strategy and Action Plan. Very long-winded. But it's a very practical strategy for managing the impacts that those communities in the Western Cape will be faced with in the next 30 to 40 years. And that makes the Western Cape the first administration, either provincially or nationally, on the continent of Africa to develop such a progressive plan. Certainly I hope it will remind people to think about those remote little natural spaces. When most of us deal with environmental crisis or that kind of thing, we're generally only thinking about ourselves. A heat wave comes through the city, as happened in Cape Town a while ago. Huge heat wave, everyone cranked up their air conditioning, overstretched electricity supplies, so electricity crashed, everyone was stuck in the city, power failure, no traffic lights, congestion. So when an environmental crisis like that happens, you're just thinking about your immediate area. But there are other little species and animals and plants stuck out in very remote little places which we don't think about when those things happen, What happens to a little orchid, if there are only 3 patches left of this orchid somewhere in the Cape when a heat wave rushes through? There's no one to rush out there and spray water on them. So I just hope that this book reminds people that it's not just your immediate space that is struggling, but other spaces out there as well.